upset for the rest, Margaret. You think you need to speak up for everyone else, but we can speak for ourselves. So it's time to give it a rest, Margaret. Virtue signals are flying high, but it's time to go, so goodbye. I don't really care, Margaret. Your outrage won't make me regret. Stop policing what I say and do. I don't really care, Margaret. You act like the world's on fire. Reactions always going higher, but I won't bend or break my spine. Margaret, you're just a wasted time. I don't really care, Margaret. Your outrage won't make me regret. Stop policing what I say and do. I don't really care, Margaret. Think you're the hero in disguise, saving lives with all your cries, but it's all just a hollow show. Margaret, it's time to let it go. I don't really care, Margaret. Your outrage won't make me regret. Stop policing what I say and do. I don't really care, Margaret. You think you're the righteous one, but the gig is up and now you're done. You think you're saving lives with all your lies. Those you speak for all know it's just for show. Margaret, it's time for you to go. When your finger's always wagging, your virtue feeling kinda laggy, done. Your righteousness don't make the grade. Margaret, just let it fade.
Hello. I've had nothing but technical problems today. I'm gonna blame it all on my husband. It's all his fault. Yep, his fault. He had a technical problem last night. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
He had a little bit of a technical problem himself yesterday. So, being that he had a technical problem, uh, it wasn't anything big. It turned out to be nothing super bad, but he did have a glitch, so to speak. Is that what you would call that, honey? A glitch? He said, "Yep," and ran away. So he had a bit of a glitch, and I can't read what that's saying, but hopefully it's all right. But he had a little bit of a glitch last night. So it goes par for the course that we got a little glitch going on today with our technology. I know it happens, not on purpose. So sorry. Rumble didn't want to stay on. None of them wanted to stay on. Kev wanted to kick me off. I don't know. But we're here now, so let's get this party started. Yeah, you saw the outline. What's got the left's panties in a bunch today? Well, here at Gurl TauX, it's time for our Thursday recap. I think I'm going to turn this into Thursday recaps no matter what, because there's a lot of stuff that happens throughout the week, and I don't get to it every day because I try to do other stuff. But let's buckle up, Gurl TauX fam. Let's buckle up for a wild ride through the news. And what's got the Left's panties in a bunch today. I'm your host, Tori. You know that. And I would say we're serving it tea hotter than the Blue Origin rocket, but I'm drinking wine. We will be dishing on Bezos space Barbies a little bit on the rogue judges. They're throwing tantrums. El Salvadorian deportation saga that's got everyone's clutching their pearls. Oh my. Plus, we've got Pam Bondi swinging for the women's sports teams. And Tesla attackers, some of them are in cuffs. And the Maui doctor who attempted to murder his wife. That's a courtroom cliffhanger. I'll be keeping an eye on that. So grab your wine because the next 90 minutes is going to be a sass fest about all of this that has their panties in a bunch. So I want to know, why did the right lose it? Why did the right lose it over Bezos' space trip? Because they thought bimbo Barbies meant free Wi-Fi for all, not a joyride to the stars? Maybe. But serious, folks. When El Salvador's presidents called out smuggling a terrorist, I bet the woke crowds group, they just went nuts. They blew up faster than a Tesla battery. The two clowns in here in my studio. So if you hear all this noise going on, I got two clowns in here. That's 8-legged clowns. I mean, they're not spiders. they're dogs. Each have 4 legs. Each have 2 legs. I don't even know how many legs they have. Apparently, they each have 4 legs, but there's 8 legs of clownishness going on. Would you two, get a room, go somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe she's going into heat again. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to it. Welcome to Gurl TauX. And as we say all the time, we keep it real here. A little shady, maybe. This week, the news is wilder than the aunt's wig at a family reunion. Jeff Bezos sent his Blue Origin crew, dubbed the Bimbo Barbies by the tabloids, on a space jaunt, and the right screaming, "It's the billionaire's flex." They're still waiting for student loan forgiveness on the left. Meanwhile, an El Salvador deportation got folks unglued, with a Maryland congressman playing superhero to the bring him home. Honey, he's a citizen of El Salvador, not Baltimore. Rogue judges are out there ignoring the Supreme Court's green light on Trump's Alien Act, acting like they're auditioning for Law and Order, the woke edition. Pam Bondi throwing punches in Maine, suing over males and female sports, and the left's calling it transphobia, while women athletes are just asking for a fair shot. Tesla's under attack, literally, with arrests piling up by the day. And in Maui, a doctor pled not guilty, while his wife's TPO drama keeps us glued. Oh, and in that fact, there's witnesses to his crime, but he says more will come out in the proof. Oh, and a teen stabbing suspect's out on bond with a GoFundMe stirring more tea than a reality show reunion. Let's dive into the mess. Because if the left's panties are twisted, we're here to iron out the truth with a side of sass. That's right. That's what I'm here for. Time for our favorite segment, Dear Margaret. We're going to answer some burning questions with wisdom and a whole lot of shade. Tonight's questions are inspired by the news that's got everyone in a tizzy. Let's get to it. Here's some Dear Margaret.
Dear Margaret's here, let's dive right in. Bring your questions, let's begin. Life's a real maze. We'll help you with your coping. Dealing with life in this rat race. Honest thoughts, no sugarcoating. Tell us your tales, your woes, your gripes. No fluff, no bows, just real life types. Sign it clever, let your pen take flight. We'll serve the truth, sharp and bright. Send us a query, take a lead. No hidden rules, no secrets to keep. Anonymous wisdom that cuts so deep. Dear Margaret's advice you'll want to reap. But in the end, let's admit we all really don't care, Margaret.
That's right. That's right. In the end, we all really don't care, Margaret. And just so you know, that was inspired by the J.D. Vance news interview with Margaret when he told her, I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want these people in my country. I don't want these people where my children are. I don't really care, Margaret. All right. So let's get to the first question. Dear Margaret, Bezos' Blue Origin trip had me dreaming of stars, but the right's calling it a billionaire's boys club while I'm still paying for my Netflix. How do I enjoy the space vibe without feeling like I'm betraying my broke girl roots? Signed, Starstruck but strapped. Well, you know, I have to say, if you enjoyed it, enjoy it. If you think it's great, it's great. If you think the Barbie Club in their tight spacesuits, I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I could fit into one of those, I'd probably buy one just for novelty. Yeah, I probably would. I think they're kind of cute in a Barbie kind of way. But I always say in itself, if you got it, flaunt it. All right, that's not such a bad thing. What I disagree with is how they're portraying it. They're portraying it as if they were a crew when they weren't. They didn't do anything. They took a Disneyland ride, Universal ride, maybe up to 62 feet above the Earth, suborbital. I did say they did not get into where they lost gravity. That I was wrong about. They did get to where they lost gravity, so they were able to float around for like 3 minutes, I think is how long they were. 3 to 5 minutes they stayed in that realm without really doing much training for that, of course. They still didn't have to wear helmets. They weren't far enough up. They had pressurization in there, and they had oxygen, so they were fine. But the other thing that I want to apologize for is I did a little more research on Lauren Sanchez, and I did not know she was a helicopter pilot. And I saw her doing a news interview with a reporter in her helicopter. I don't know if she owns it or Bezos owns it or if it's owned by Blue Origin or who owns it or if it's her personal one. But she was flying it herself. And for that, I apologize. But what I have to say about that is when she was in that helicopter, if you look up that news interview, in fact, I can pull it up real quick because I actually thought it was very telling, to be honest with you. It was so much more real than her fake Barbie crap going on to the shuttle or the whatever the wiener launched into space. She looked so much more professional. She sounded smarter. She acted smarter. And I was way more impressed with her interview on that helicopter ride than I was with any of the other stuff that I saw. And if she would act more like this real person that she was on that that helicopter itself, I would be way more impressed. I would prefer for her to act like a real person. Um, the one thing I didn't have, I don't have listed, and I am gonna do a real quick recap on it, um, is, uh, Rosie O'Donnell's appearance on, let me see if I can pull this one up. Here we go. Here we go. Let me show you this real quick, cause I did think this was relevant. It made a difference on how I felt about it, but I will tell you, I wish she would show more of this. This she's professional. This she is skilled and trained. Um, and it makes me think a little bit differently about her without the big boobs and the tight outfit and the freaking Botox and the puffed out lips. Um, this would make me like her a lot more if she was a little bit more real instead of so Barbie-ish. And I mean, that's my opinion, um, of course, but, it is what it is. I like seeing people in their natural habitat, let's so to speak. Um, but let's show this real quick.
My dad. So
He was a pilot.
my dad was a pilot, is still a pilot. He's 84 and still teaching how to fly.
Wow.
And
That's
I love
amazing.
it. Flying to me is complete freedom. You're at the controls, you're seeing the world from a different perspective. Okay,
You're right.
first look to the left.
Okay.
That's where the booster is going to land, right on that spot right there.
Wow.
Isn't that so cool?
Oh
Counterclockwise. Catch your
my goodness.
Yeah. And then look, and then our capsule is going to land somewhere in this vast open space.
I can only imagine how you're feeling in the sense that when you sit here in the pilot's seat and you fly this helicopter, and then in 2 days you're going to be going to space. Like that, it just blows my mind.
It blows my mind, and I can't believe that we get this opportunity. It's really not about going to space. I think it's about what all of these women are going to bring back, the stories that they're going to be able to tell, the lives that they're going to be able to touch. And also, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Like, we get to do something that's fun, and I'm really excited about that.
Pitchers love you.
This is where the rocket takes off, by the way. What's really cool about the Blue Origin rocket is that it's hydrogen and oxygen. So guess what the exhaust is?
Clean.
Water.
Clean. Yeah.
Water.
Why is now the time to do this, Lauren?
Why not?
Yeah.
Now is the time because Blue Origin is making it possible. And it's going to get more and more accessible with each passing year. Being able to share this experience is really what it's all about. And Aisha, Amanda, Gail, Katie, Carrie Ann, being able to share it with the kind, generous, powerhouse of women is what makes it all worth it. It really does.
Now, as you sit here, just a couple days away from going to space, piloting your own helicopter, it says so much about you. Don't know where your dreams are going to take you, but you're here and it's your reality.
And it's the most incredible adventure ever, and that's life.
Now, I honestly wish I had seen that prior to talking about them, because it is rather impressive. Being a pilot's daughter myself, it is impressive, and I flew in helicopters when I was in the Army, and I got behind the stick a few times, just not officially. Um, but uh, that's what happens when you have Vietnam vet pilots that are with you. They are like, "Here, you wanna learn?" I was gonna go to flight school. There's a whole story behind that one I won't talk about right now, but, needless to say, I woulda had a little bit of a different opinion about her had I seen this in advance, because she was clearly flying. I do know how the controls work, and she was controlling it. It appears somebody else was also in there either filming or a secondary pilot, kind of obscured. You couldn't really see. I don't know how much he was doing of any sort or if he was just there to film. But somebody had cameras. Somebody had the camera that they were doing something. But it does give me a little bit better impression of her. I still think she's kind of acting like a bimbo. That's what bothers me. And then I thought about what my mom said. What my mom said is, when my mom was around other pilots' wives and my mom was around other women, she had to dumb herself down so that she wasn't basically verbally attacked by them. So it made me think, does she dumb herself down so that she can fit in with the girls' club because she's smarter or more capable or is skilled? And so is she actually dumbing herself down to be one of the bimbo Barbies when she's not so much a bimbo Barbie? I wonder that now. So it does make me think about it. So I think, going back to Starstruck but Strapped, if you liked it and you think it was great, enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it was. But let's not forget the real people who have paved the way. Let's not forget the real people who have broke these barriers. That's all I'm asking. Just remember all the people who have been involved in making stuff happen. Next, Dear Margaret, let's get to that one. All right. Dear Margaret, this El Salvador deportation drama's got my book club divided. Half want to storm the embassy, half say he's not our problem. How do you navigate this mess without losing my girls or my sanity? Deportation debate diva. Okay, well, the first thing that I want to say is people need to be looking into his real background and his real history. Are they aware of the fact that his wife has gotten restraining orders against him not once, but twice for assault, for domestic violence? Yeah, he's that outstanding man of Maryland. Man of Maryland. He's got everything under control. He's just the father of the year and the husband of the decade. But no, he's been convicted by a court for deportation. And I don't mean convicted of a crime, but convicted as a gang member of MS-13. Look up MS-13. They're horrific. They rape children and women and leave them for dead and dismember and all these other things. Many of them are battery type men. They batter their wives. Their wives are subjected to submission. I don't know that they're the best role models. That's what I'm going to say. So don't take a stance, because what I'm seeing is there's more of a stance because Trump did it than the facts behind it. This guy is a cretin. And when his original deportation order came about, they said, okay, we'll grant you the not to El Salvador based on the situation at the time in El Salvador. This was 2019. El Salvador at the time was one of the most dangerous places in the region. And they had the biggest murder cap of anywhere. So I can understand why he may not want to go there where other gang members are going to go after him and want to kill him. But they've eradicated that gang from El Salvador. Now the biggest part of MS-13's in the U.S. and L.A. and other parts of the U.S. So deporting him now back to El Salvador, where the gang's been eradicated, the danger is no longer there. It's no longer the same. If the situation changes, the situation changes. Doesn't negate the fact that he is a known gang member of MS-13, period. And they have been deemed a terrorist organization. Okay? Even the president of El Salvador has said that MS-13 is a terrorist organization. They eradicated them, so much so that they've gone back into their graves in El Salvador, Go watch I think it's on Netflix, documentary about it. And they've gone in there and they literally took giant hammers to every gravestone that had a depiction of their MS-13 on their gravestones to remove it so that they couldn't have any markings. So they have nowhere to go and honor their MS-13 brothers. So think about that. Dear Margaret, Pam Bondi's main lawsuit about males in female sports has my gym group buzzing, but the left's saying it's hate. How do I stand up for the fair play without getting canceled at spin class? Sweating for fairness. Well, sweating for fairness. Yeah, we wouldn't be in this place that we're in this debate on this topic had someone stood their ground when it started. And because no one stood their ground when it started, nobody said this is unfair. Nobody said we shouldn't be doing this. We are now into a position where we all have to stand up and say it's unfair. And we have to stand by the girls and the little girls all the way up to the big women that are in sports. It's not fair. And we have to stand up for the women in sports. That does not mean that you have to be anti-trans. It doesn't mean you have to be anti-LGBT, whatever. It just means that you stand for women. Now, at some point in time in this history of ours, the United States, we stood for women's rights. We marched for women's rights. We fought for women's rights. We fought for Title IX. We fought for the right to vote. We fought for equality. And now we want to hand it all over to men. I don't care if they're men in dresses. We still are handing it over to men because in the long scheme of things, they are men. And watch some of the documentaries out there about this mass transgendering of children. Do you really honestly, in the heart of hearts, believe that a 3-year-old thinks they're a boy or a girl? No. It's the parents. I wanted a girl, so now I'm going to have a girl. And it's in vogue to do so. It's the cool kid club. So I'm going to participate. Doesn't make it right. So that's my opinion. All right. Last, Dear Margaret. Let's get to it. Dear Margaret, rogue judges are ignoring Trump's Aliens Act win, and my uncle screaming about activist courts at Sunday dinner. How do I shut him down or join him without ruining the mac and cheese? Courtroom cousin conundrum. Well, I have to say, I think you join him because it is a fact. It is a fact that these judges, one in particular, DC judge, thinks that he's above Trump, thinks he's above the president, thinks his orders have to stand. And he's still, even though, and now he's doing a new order, ordering them to comply with an order that's already been shut down by the Supreme Court. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're nobody. You're not in charge. You're not the commander in chief. You know, you're a judge in a district courtroom. Shut up and sit down. Eat your Cheetos. Anyway, I say, don't shut him down. Listen to him. Listen to what your uncle's talking about. Judges should not be activists. Point blank. That's not their job. Their job is to rule on the law and follow the law, not make the laws, and not to be the law, and not to circumvent their opinions, their feelings, or their political affiliations into the law. That's not their job. Their job is to be balanced, unbiased. That's their job. Anyway, remember to send in your questions to Dear Marge, DearMarg, at gurltaux.com for your next Dear Margaret. We've got your back and we have your answers, and they are sharper than your eyeliner. So we will keep them coming. As long as you keep the questions coming, we'll keep the answers coming. We're always going to come at you with raw, honest, opinion-based answers. And we'll deal with personal questions as well as political questions, debate questions. I love a good debate. Let's get into a debate. I have no problem debating. I also have no problem saying when I'm wrong, like I did about the Bezos bimbo Barbies. And maybe she's not such a bimbo, but why does she act like one? That would be a question I have. That's a good question is what I would like to ask about that. Why do you act like a bimbo if you're not? If you're smart, you're intelligent, you're a pilot, stop acting like you're over the top, you know. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. I am curious. I'm going to Google something real quick. Okay. I got the information. Sorry for the dead air there. Forgot for a second, guys. I was looking that up. All right. So let's get back to this. Our first part of our segment is Bezos bimbo Barbies in space. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin flight had the internet buzzing, with haters dubbing the crew bimbo Barbies for their glitzy promo, their propaganda, their PR stunt. The right's fuming, saying it's a billionaire ego trip while Earth's problems pile up, especially economically. But let's be real, the view from the space was chef's kiss, and the crew's diverse scientists, not just influencers. There was at least one or two, I think there was two supposed scientists on there, but there was no science going on. There was no mission. Let's be clear. There was no mission actually done in space. So let's be clear about that. They didn't have a mission. They didn't do a mission. They weren't on a mission. They were just a group of ladies having ladies' night, or ladies 11 minutes in space. That's really what they were doing. So let's be clear about that part of it. I'm not gonna give them a little bit more than what it was, because it was not anything more than that. And I just, it was not more than that. I think we have to be clear about what they were doing, and it was a publicity stunt, a very wealthy publicity stunt, so to speak. Let's watch Megyn Kelly real quick talk about this. I got it right here. I think it's just a certain portion of it that she's got, but let's watch this real quick, because I think it's pretty entertaining, to say the least. Here we go. Let's do it.
Serious gold in the Blue Origin story that my team has. I missed serious gold in the Blue Origin story that my team has redirected me to, and now I will bring you guys there as well. Take a listen to the female commentators as this nipple-shaped rocket ship was about to take off. And the two commentators, I had to know their names when I heard this. I'm told by Steve Krakauer include Teresa Thompson, who normally works with ESPN Sports, and Kristen Fisher, who used to be on Fox but then went to CNN. But both of them, we believe, are just doing like Blue Origin announcing on this particular day, like not working for an outlet. So obviously hired by Bezos to do this. And would you listen to the commentary, guys?
And when you are out there at this moment, this rocket feels like it is alive. It feels like it is a living, breathing, hissing thing, right?
And there's the gantry pulling back.
And this right here is the moment that they've been training for.
Training 2 days.
2 days, becoming a crew, becoming a team.
2 days.
After you go through an experience like this, it's more than a team.
Now, do you
it's
not
almost like
see
a
that the
family.
whole thing
We're
looks
so
kind of like
tight to go
the whole thing
through
looks kind of
something
like
as
wiener
intense
there.
as this. So, you know,
Now, when it
this
comes
is
back
like
down, that
a
top part
bridled
looks
beast. This thing wants to
like
take
Megan said.
off.
Switch to onboard helium.
Here we go. Good luck and Godspeed,
I'm gonna turn
ladies.
that sound off for a
We're
second.
cheering you on from
Let's
planet
launch
Earth.
this
Thrust
rocket.
termination system is
Of
armed.
your Barbie boyfriend.
Oh my God. They're training. They did 2 days. And I asked my team to poll, like, what did they do during their 2 days? Okay, here they are. Their tasks, they spent the past 2 days at facilities for Blue Origin going over preparations, according to Blue Origin's Ariane Cornell. Their tasks included practicing how to get into and out of the New Shepard capsule. You go in, and then you go out. Oh, once again, ladies. Okay. The group also practiced how to put on and take off their seatbelts. I'm dying. Let me see if there's anything else. They had to get fitted in their flight suits, guys. They had to get fitted, and they had to learn how to communicate with ground control. Okay, this is what's so funny about it to me. First of all, these two nitwits talking about the training they've been through, all their training, it all comes down to this. Secondly, that was like astronaut training, the universal phrase for something that's extremely physically taxing on you. They used to like stick the astronauts in these booths and like put it, like make it sub-zero temperatures and then make them super confused. They couldn't like perform simple tasks anymore, and then like make their hearing go away. They would deprive you, sensory deprivation, one sense after the other. And that's like part of and now it's like they had to learn how to get in and out, but they dressed it up on the one thing by saying they had to learn egress and ingress. That's astronaut talk. And they had to click in and out of their seatbelts. And then the other girl going on about how after you go through
Do you know how to ingress and egress your car and how to hook on your seatbelt? Well, you too can be an astronaut.
experience like that, you are more than a team. You are family. That egress and ingress and seatbelt buckling, then lying down in your Oscar de la Renta suit.
Yeah, and by the way, those spacesuits were made by Oscar de la Renta. That makes it even funnier.
Walter's just got his finger on his face.
Well,
like true distress.
I mean, just a few weeks ago, actual astronauts who got stranded in space for months, floating around in weightless condition, not in this, luxury vehicle, were rescued by another rocket and brought back to Earth, and it hardly made a splash on the media. These people have already gotten 50 times the publicity that those. Well,
and when you call it a publicity stunt, I guess that means it worked because they got more publicity than the ones that were stranded in space and rescued got. They barely got a drop in the ocean compared to these bimbets.
heroes and the person who rescued them got.
Yeah, ISS and Elon, right? The people who are on the
Jeff
International Space
Bezos
Station.
basically put his girlfriend and her pals into a giant vibrator, shot them into orbit for 10 minutes, and they came back telling all about the thrill. We've got
They came back having climax. That was the best 11 minutes that Bezos has ever given a woman. That's what I got to say.
everything upside down. And if women get any more empowerment of this sort, they're going to be denied the right to vote.
I love the color commentary, though. It's, speaking with knowledge as if they know what this is like generally.
Yes. I was like, are these astronauts? I mean, like, are these? No, it's like some girl from ESPN and some girl from CNN. Like, oh, let me tell you what the training does for you on something like this. Hello, what?
It's crazy. It's like, when you go to get a Chevy Traverse test drive, you come out more like a family than like, somebody who just took a car. They're talking about getting in and out of a car. Basically.
All their training. It comes down to this. Can we hear the beginning of that again? I need to hear that again. Let's just play it again.
When you are out there at this moment, this rocket feels like it is alive. It feels like it is a living, breathing, hissing thing, right?
And there's the gantry pulling back.
And this right here is the moment that.
All right, I'm gonna pull that one back. I don't want to necessarily listen to that again. I think that's enough there. Let's right. Right. I think we're right about in the right spot. I don't know. Let me see if I am or not. Let's see.
Wants to take off.
Switch to onboard helium. Thrust termination system is armed.
I can't. The drama. That's also like a stereotypically female thing, which is not great, right? To be overly dramatic when the circumstances don't call for it. I'm not saying what they were doing was guaranteed safe. Obviously, we have seen accidents before. It's not like there was some degree of risk there. But the training, it all comes down to literally.
But to be honest with you, there's about the same degree of safety that you have when every single time you take a ride at a amusement park like Universal Studios or Disneyland or whatever on the big roller coasters, because dead is dead. Doesn't matter how far you fall. If you fall and die, you're dead. So whether you're 62 feet above the earth and it blows up and you die, or it has a problem on reentry, something like that, you die. If it hits the ground and you die, you're still dead. If you fall off of a amusement park ride and you die, you're still dead. So the safety aspect is supposed to be the same at all of those things, where safety checks are done and make sure every ounce of it is safe. That's what it's supposed to be.
Really, they learned how to buckle their seatbelts and wear the suits that were designer and showed Lauren Sanchez's boobs. Okay. No one's going to convince me that those rockets are not phallic. I think we're all just part of some weird Jeff Bezos sexual fantasy right now. I really do. There's something happening there. I don't wish to participate.
Like I said, it's probably the best 11 minutes Bezos has ever given a woman.
Participate. You've heard about.
Okay. So let's just go past that one now. All right. I mean, it is what it is. I think it's ridiculous. And we have to realize it is a bit ridiculous. It was a publicity stunt, whether you like it or not. It was cool, maybe. I mean, I would love to do it if I had a cool 500K just floating around. The view was probably amazing. Absolutely. I'm not so scared of, heights that I wouldn't go in it. But Blue Origin's latest mission pushed reusable rockets, cutting costs for future flights. So that's one thing he's trying to do. Hopefully reusable rockets doesn't mean, that you're going to have problems with them. Critics say the $500,000 ticket price screams privilege, and it does. The average person obviously cannot spend $500,000 more than most people spend on buying a house in order for 11 minutes in a space rocket, in a penis rocket. But supporters argue it funds innovation. The zero gravity hair flip video, iconic. Yeah, they got to float around there for 3 minutes. The right's ex-post whining about space colonization, colonism or whatever is predictable. You know, we're not, the left and the right are talking about it, but they talk about it in different ways. I say if Bezos wants to play astronaut, let him. We just don't need to expect an invite to my barbecue unless he's bringing moon rocks or moon pies, I guess, or unless he's going to give me a ticket on one of his little spaceships. I'd take it. I'm not going to lie. If I was given an opportunity to go and report, I would go. I'm not above that. Anyway, they got their 11 minutes of climax and they've got their 15 minutes of fame. I do wish that Sanchez Barbie would show that she's a little bit more intelligent and capable than acting like a dimwit. That's what I would like to see happen, because she does act like she's a dimwit, and I don't think she needs to do that. But, you know, that is what it is. El Salvador deportation drama. The right is actually losing it over Kilmar Abrego Garcia being allowed to be here. The left is losing it over his deportation. A Maryland man deported to El Salvador by mistake. That is what the left is saying. A Maryland man deported by mistake. And this could happen to you, is what they're saying. If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. No, he's actually an illegal. And it was deemed so by a court in 2019 and 2021, I believe. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollins headed to El Salvador, vowing to bring him home. But he is home. El Salvador's his home. That's where he's from. El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele's, I don't know how to say his name, in the interview in the Oval Office, when they said, "Are you going to bring him back? Why didn't you bring him on his plane?" He said, "What, am I supposed to smuggle a terrorist?" Oops. Guess they shouldn't ask that question. The Insight. CBS News reports that Trump administration admitted the deportation was an administrative error. A federal judge found the admin ignored court orders blocking Venezuelan migrant transfers to El Salvador, even though that was not agreed to by the Supreme Court, nor was that judge. That's one of those rogue judges. He wasn't even in the position to order any such blocking. The Supreme Court got involved, and Chief Justice Roberts issued a stay on Garcia's return deadline. What they have said, and it's being misinterpreted and misrepresented, was that should El Salvador want to send Mr. Garcia back, then we need to facilitate it. If they don't, because he is a citizen of El Salvador, then they don't. Van Hollen was denied a meeting with Garcia. Buckley's ex-posts are straight up spicy, calling out U.S. hypocrisy. The left's calling a human rights crisis. The right says it's law and order. What do you say? I say it's law and order. My sassy take is Van Hollen wants to play Captain Save a Citizen. He better crack Garcia's passport, or better check Garcia's passport first. Salvadorian, not Starbucks loyalty card. Not to mention the fact that maybe, here's an option, you could be a sponsor. What do you think of that? Mr. Senator. Be his sponsor. Let him come and live in your house. Move his whole damn family into your house. Make sure you have little areas that they can go to when they get to their sparring brawls, because they have the moments where they're both put under probably a two-way sparring match, even though he's the one that's been charged with domestic violence and had 2 orders of protection against him. But that is what it is. I don't think he's coming home anytime soon. I don't think the president of El Salvador is planning on sending a terrorist back into the U.S. What about them rogue judges versus Trump's Alien Act? Rogue judges are throwing shade at Trump's Aliens Act, even after the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in favor, allowing deportation with due process. These judges are blocking flights to El Salvador's notorious prisons, acting like they're the final boss of justice. They're the chief in charge. And understand one thing. They are not entitled to representation, and they have to ask for habeas. If they don't ask for it, they don't get it. That's how the ruling was. Know the whole ruling, not just a portion of it. Don't follow into the narrative. Our insights are ABC News notes that Supreme Court upheld Trump's use of the Aliens Act, but mandated due process for detainees. Again, like I just said, they don't get representation, and they have to ask for the habeas. No one can tell them to ask for it. Now, if they're watching the media and watching the news, or other members of their family are, and they know that they have to ask for habeas, somebody might tell them they have to ask for habeas. But if they don't know it, they're not going to ask for it. Trump has called for the impeachment of judges like James Boasberg, who cited willful disregard of court orders, even though they weren't lawful court orders. Chief Justice Roberts pushed back, saying impeachment's not the vibe. Let's highlight. X posts from conservatives are lit, calling judges activist clowns, while the left's defending them as protecting rights. Absolutely. My sassy take is the judges want to rewrite the law. They should run for Congress, not place Simon Says with the Supreme Court. That's my opinion. Not to mention the fact that, they should stop playing activist. Maybe they should join Antifa and get off the bench if that's what they want to do. I don't know. Your take. What do you think? Pam Bondi's main lawsuit. Yeah, let's talk about that one. Pam Bondi's Justice Department dropped a bombshell this morning at a press conference, suing Maine's Department of Education, letting males compete in female sports, claiming it violates Title IX. The left screaming transphobia. But women are like, can we just play fair? Can we just undress in a locker room without a boy's dingling? There's some crazy shit that I've heard, seen, and known about when my boys were in school that boys do in locker rooms. Ever heard the term teabagging? I've heard it. What happens when this happens to one of these girls? Manscape, that's when they try to take a picture with their ball sack hanging into the photo somewhere. What happens when they try to take one of those in the locker room with naked girls behind them or something crazy? It's only just started. What happens when that stuff starts happening? They just need to be safe and it needs to be fair. CBS News says the lawsuit follows GOP complaints about Maine's policies allowing trans athletes in girls' sports. Bondi argues it undermines women's rights. Critics say it targets trans kids. What do you think? I don't think it targets anyone. It just says that we need to have safe spaces for girls, and girls' sports is for girls. If you're biologically a boy, you don't belong in girls' sports, period. The highlights are Bondi's press conference was fierce, promising to protect women's sports. X is a war zone over it. Hashtag save women's sports versus hashtag trans rights. I don't think you're being transphobic just because you want women's rights to stay for women. We didn't fight all this time for women's rights so that we can just hand them back over to men. I don't care if they're in a dress or not. My sassy take, Pam's out here swinging for fairness, but the left's acting like she stole their avocado toast. Let's keep sports equal, not a free-for-all. That's not what it's there for. That's not what it's about. Come on. We need to be really, really honest. We need to be true. And our girls should not be having to undress with boys. I don't care if they're 7, 13, 18, or 35. Women and girls need to have safe spaces for them, especially when you have, rapes and assaults and stuff like that happen. We don't need that to start happening in these locker rooms too. I mean, there are some boys that went and started mocking these girls when they lost or when they were uncomfortable. Some of these girls have been reported that they were going and changing in the janitor's closet instead of in the locker room. Is that okay? Is that fair? Next item on our news for the left's getting their panties in a twist or in a bunch. Tesla attacks and the arrests. And if I hear one more time, what about J6? What about J6? He pardoned the J6ers. They didn't firebomb anything. The attacks were done and have been proven that they were done by infiltrated members that were part of Antifa or other entities inciting it. That's partly what happened. The proof has come out now. But they didn't firebomb anything. When they talk about the protests of Bud Light when that happened, but nobody firebombed Bud Light's businesses or people driving Bud Light trucks or people in their own home drinking Bud Light. Nobody went after them. Yeah, they shot up Bud Light bottles that were their own that they bought. They might have done sort of things with those, but they didn't. That was their own personal property. I have no problem with somebody that owns a Tesla wanting to destroy their own Tesla in protest. Go right ahead. Same thing happened when we protested the NFL. People were out burning their NFL jerseys and their NFL gear. It was theirs. I don't care. You want to destroy your own property? Go for it. Knock yourself out. It's not going to hurt anybody. But Tesla's under fire because they don't like Elon Musk. Literally. With attacks on their factories, their showrooms, leading to arrests. These left cheering, eat the rich. Signs that say, burn a Tesla, save democracy. While Elon's probably tweeting from a bunker. Well, from the White House. And you're not hurting Elon. You're hurting the people that already bought and paid for it. He's already got their money. Tesla's already got their money. You're not hurting them. You're hurting private individual people. Many of them are leftists. Since that's the primary side that's on the eco-friendly, let's talk about the Green New Deal. Let's talk about all the important things about being for our Earth, Mother Earth, and safe. And we can't destroy the planet. So we all need to go eco-friendly. We all need to drive electric vehicles to save the Earth. Oh, wait, he's working with Trump? Burn it to the ground. That's what we need to do now. Burn it. Burn it all. Forget about how toxic it is when you're burning Tesla batteries. Nah, that doesn't matter now. None of that matters anymore. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. The insights I have are No specific details on arrests from my sources, but X posts mention vandalism tied to anti-capitalist groups. Tesla stocks have dipped, but they've come back, and they've dipped, and they've come back. Musk seems unfazed, hyping Cybertruck. He is phased a bit. He has said it bothers him. But at the same time, the stock goes up and comes down and goes up and comes down. It went down as low as, I think, 217. It's back up in the 260s, I think 250s now. There have been several arrests, and Bondi promises that there will be no bartering, so to speak, with these people. No bargaining. 20 years. That's what she's saying. I'm sure they're trying to get a ruling that this is terrorism. They can get the 20 years. Highlights: a viral X video shows a smashed Tesla window with Eco Warrior spray painted nearby. The right's calling it domestic terrorism. The left's like, chill, it's protest art. And, they're just saying, burn a Tesla, save democracy. Yeah, that's crazy. My sassy take. If you're mad at Tesla, don't torch the car that's saving the planet, Karen. Seriously. You can hold your little sign and you can walk up and down the street and you can say whatever. But torching a Tesla to prove something proves you're an idiot. That's about all you got there. Come on. It's kind of stupid. All right. Now, in other news, we have the Maui doctor. He pled not guilty. Are you familiar with the doctor? Yeah, he's in Maui. He's an anesthesiologist. And I believe he teaches. I don't want him teaching me. They live in Maui, and he is allegedly charged with attempted murder of his wife, Ariel Koenig, trying to throw her off a cliff. When she realized what was about to happen, she threw herself to the ground to fight him off, and he picked up a rock and started smashing her in the head about 10 times. And in the scuffle of it, he pulled the syringe from his bag, and she was able to knock it out of his hand and get it away from her. And he continued to hit her with a rock until bystanders that heard her screams came a-running and didn't stop him, but he stopped because they were there and they were trying to help, and he ran away. And then there was a chase for him. And apparently during that chase, while they were looking for him, he called his son and said, I tried to kill Ariel. But now he says, the truth will come out in the court, because it's not exactly, you're only hearing one side of the story. Well, there are witnesses, and she is the one that was injured, taken to the hospital. I don't know if they found the syringes or not. I don't know what the whole story is behind it, but I'll be following it. Even though he pled not guilty to the charges, even though it's tied to a pretty messy domestic case, he said that she was cheating. That's what it all started with. She extended her temporary protection order, her TPO, and he also got no bond. They fought for him to get bond, saying that he's not a flight risk and he has no record. But at the same time, he did try to kill his wife, and they do have 2 children. So she has the protection order against him for herself, her 2 children, and their dog. She did say that he had been assaulting her in their home, and that he had also sexually assaulted her prior to this. Boy, it's giving the Real Housewives a run for their money and much higher stakes and better ratings. My insights, no direct source details, but X post suggests the doctor's case involves allegations of abuse. Yep, that's what I just said. The TPO extension signals ongoing safety concerns. A judge wouldn't grant it and grant no bond if he didn't feel there could be a safety risk. The bottom line is this: if she's not alive, something happens to her. She's the main witness. He probably gets away with it. Let's remember that. Highlight. The left's framing it as a Me Too moment. The right's crying innocent until proven guilty. I don't know that. I think some of the right might be saying that. I say that all the time. Doesn't matter who you are. You are innocent until proven guilty. Although there is an awful lot of facts behind guilt. Bring it. Bring on your defense. What's our sassy take? If this doctor's drama keeps trending, Bravo's going to cast him for Real Doctors of Maui. But let's prioritize justice over reality TV, people. And I would be careful going into his doctor's office with a syringe of any kind. You might not come out alive. The next thing in our news that's got the left panties in a bunch is the teen stabbing. The bond, $250,000. So they had to put up, I think, $25,000. They have a GoFundMe controversy. He's gotten over $435,000. The teen that is suspected of the stabbing, even though he said it's not alleged I did it when he was arrested, killing the other kid. And equally, that kid's GoFundMe is $350-something thousand. But there's also some Facebook posts of the mother of the teen who did the stabbing, showing off her new ride. Gotta wonder, is that money from the GoFundMe going to buy her new ride, or could she afford it on her own? I don't know. They're saying that they have a happy home, mother and father living at home, while the teen who was stabbed, parents don't live at home. Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the parents that stabbed the kid, so what are they teaching at that home? Just because both parents are there doesn't mean they're teaching good behavior. Let's just remind people of that. NBC's DFW reports the teen's bond dropped from $1 million, fueling that debate. The GoFundMe, the purpose is a little murky. Legal fees or clout, new car, new house, who knows? The GoFundMe was shut down and then it was brought back. The highlights: exes split, victims advocating want the teen locked up, supporters say the system's too harsh. One post that I saw had a picture of the suspect and one of Kyle Rittenhouse saying, I see that the sides are unequal, that why can one have self-defense and the other not, citing that it's racist. Although Kyle Rittenhouse was at a protest being beaten with a skateboard and a gun pointed in his face, while this kid had the knife and stabbed an unarmed person when there was no major altercation. It was a get out of my seat altercation. If you're funding a stabber's GoFundMe, maybe donate to a wig budget instead. Less drama, better vibes. I don't know. Where do you stand on all of it? There is so much going on. Wow. Well, that's pretty much it for Gurl TauX. We're about done here. We're just going to wrap up a little bit. I hope you join our tribe, but that was quite a ride. We roasted Bezos' space Barbies, spilled tea on El Salvador's deportation drama, and called out rogue judges acting like they run the Supreme Court. Pam Bondi's fighting for women's sports. Tesla's dodging Molotov cocktails, and Maui's doctor giving us courtroom chaos. And we're here to follow all of it. Plus, that teen stabbing GoFundMe's got all sides eyeing. What are they going to do with the money? What are they going to do with it? I want to know. Do you want to know? I want to know if it's like the BLM. They're going to buy a mansion? They aren't quite up to that much money, but it's growing. It's probably by 500,000 by today. The left's panties are officially in a bunch, and we're keeping it classy but sassy. My final thoughts. This news cycle's a circus, but let's focus on fairness, whether it's sports, justice, or space dreams. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on the truth. Keep your ears to the grindstone. Listen to what's really happening. Read, pay attention, do your research. Don't throw temper tantrums. Find out what's really going on. Join us next week where Gurl TauX is real again. We have more news drop on Thursday. Thursdays are going to be our news wrap-up day. Follow us on X. Follow us on all the socials at Gurl TauX, GurlTauX. And don't forget to email us at dearmarg, DEARMARG, at gurltaux.com for your Dear Margaret questions. And keep slaying it, people. Good night. Don't let the woke police steal your sparkle. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and we'll be here tomorrow. Got a good show coming in tomorrow, hopefully. I don't mean hopefully you'll be here tomorrow, but we'll finish up our 50 Life After 50 series. We'll finish that up tomorrow, our last one in that series. And then we'll work on the next series that I'm going to come up with. I've got to come up with another series for the following weeks or so. But, you know, we do appreciate your being involved and those who have been sending me the Dear Margaret questions. I really appreciate that. I would love to see more comments as we are on the air. I know sometimes I have issues with the comments showing, but I really appreciate y'all being here. I want to welcome you to Gurl TauX Tribe. Don't forget again to like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends, and come back tomorrow for more. We will see you tomorrow on Friday. I appreciate you being here. Thank you again so much, and good night. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching Gurl TauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe.